Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another jewelry making video at keepsakecrafts.net. Today we're going to make a nice long statement necklace that's actually quite simple in construction and has its focal points in unexpected places. So this is a picture of a necklace I found online, and I liked the design. I thought it was a little bit different than the way we usually design our necklaces with pendants hanging down in the center front. I did a reverse image search and I could not find the source of this photo. If you know where this photo is from, please chime in the comments so that I can give credit. I'm pretty sure it's probably a catalog like Coldwater Creek or something like that. But we're going to take our inspiration from this necklace today by having 3 groupings of beads separated with a couple lengths of chain. So I started my design with these pink ceramic beads, and I just kind of pulled out ones that I thought would be good for this center section, which interestingly really isn't the focal section. It's kind of unusual for necklace designs. And I just laid these out on my bead board, and then we'll have maybe 2 or 3 inches of chain between these and the next section. And this is actually going to be my focal point. I don't have 2, and that's okay. I think I'm just going to let this be the focal point and use this large crackled ceramic bead on the other side. And then a couple more pink ceramic beads. And maybe some of these funky shaped ones. I pulled out these little owls because they were very much the same color. And I thought of making that the other focal point, but you could do that. In my mind, it kind of competed and didn't really go well with the flower. So I decided to just do the plain bead. To go in between these, I decided to keep it white and pink and not add another color. So I actually have crystals, and I thought these were an interesting shape. I do like to have a nice variety of shapes and finishes, so I've got some crystal, I've got these matte white glass beads that are round, and then this is how I design most of my jewelry, is I just start laying it out, pulling out pieces and seeing what I like, what I don't like. One thing I will need to do on this flower is make a hole on one of these petals, and so I have a screw punch here to do that. And if you don't know how to use one of these or what this is, it's a really nice little tool for making holes in metal jewelry pieces without really any specialty metal smithing tools. And I did a Friday Findings video on this a while back, and I will link it in the cards and also at the blog post. And if you don't know what the cards are, on every single one of my videos there's a little eye or a tag in the upper right that you can click on, and when you click on that it brings up a link to my blog post where you can get a supply list and links to products and links to related videos. If you're on mobile, that will show up if you're in landscape mode. I believe it will show up either way, landscape or portrait mode. But there, I just screwed down the thing and it made a little hole so I can connect. And I've chosen some chain, which I thought it would be kind of pretty in between these. Once I get these strung together, I will decide just how long my lengths of chain are going to be. And by the way, this little flower came on a card like this. I think I found it at Michael's, and I always pick up stuff like this just to have on hand because you never know what you're going to need. And I have some 20 gauge. This is sterling silver plated wire that I am going to use to start making my bead links. And what I'm going to do to conserve wire is cut kind of a longish piece, maybe like a 12-inch piece. Not so long as to be unmanageable, but if I don't want to cut a bunch of short pieces and end up wasting my wire. And then because I have so many loops to make, I'm going to use my one-step looper. And this is a great tool. I've also done a Friday Findings video on this. So I've made a loop at one end. I'm going to slide on my first bead. And this is why you don't want to make the wire ridiculously long. And then it goes into the looper. And I'm going to slide this all the way down to the bead. Hold it next to the bead and make the other loop. And what's wonderful is I've made a loop, and what was cut off is not waste because I'll just repeat the procedure to start on my next loop. We'll do that one more time. The only part that's waste will be this little bit here. There's a little bit that gets cut off when you're making that loop. You can make that minimal. Make the loop. Slide on your bead. Slide the looper down to the bead and let it do its thing by squeezing the handles. Once you have all of your beads on a piece of wire, you can just use chain nose pliers to open one loop. Slide on the loop of the bead that's going to go next to it, and then close up that loop. And just repeat to add loops to all of your beads and connect them all together. So when I'm done, I will have 3 sections of beads all connected together in a chain. So here you can see I've gone ahead and put together my sections of beads. One thing I did change in the middle was the loops on these larger holed ceramic beads. You can see they have really big holes. And the problem was with the little 1.5 millimeter loops was that it went right through and it didn't hang very nicely on the chain because of that, because it would just slide right over the ends of the loops. So what I did was I got out my 3 millimeter looper. They do make them in a few different sizes, and I just made bigger loops on the pieces that were for the larger bead, the large hole beads. If you don't have the bigger loopers, that's okay. Just use your round nose pliers and make bigger loops, and then they just hang more nicely. I've also gone ahead and added a 2.5 inch piece of chain here. You can see why you kind of want to wait until you get all your beads strung, because it changes the proportions. Once you've made them all into connectors, of course they take up a lot more space. So it's best to judge that once you have them all put together. And then all you need to do, it depends on the type of chain that you chose, if you need jump rings to attach it or not, to connect it all together. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've been encouraged and inspired. And if you have, I hope you might consider becoming a patron. Not only do you get the satisfaction of knowing that you're keeping these tutorials coming for everybody, but you also get rewards like chances to win some of my creations, bonus templates, videos, sneak peeks, and more. And speaking of patrons, I want to give a big shout out to my newest patron, Beth Barton. Thank you so much, Beth, for deciding to support my tutorials. And if you're interested in how that works, check out my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Sandy Sewin, SANDYSEWIN. And you can find out how you can help out for $1 a month or whatever you can afford. So then you just go ahead and connect these all together. And I'm going to make my necklace about 30 inches long. This is meant to be one of those really long statement pieces, because this is actually really the focal, this flower. And so that will kind of hang often where a pendant would normally be, and then the rest of this will be a little lower. So a pretty long necklace. So add chain around the back to make it the length you want. Add a clasp. I found these cute heart clasps at the craft store. And your necklace is all done. So if you're interested in the supplies I used, click on the little eye or the tag in the upper right of the video, or in the link in the description box to go to my blog post, where I always have a complete supply list with product links. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and take a peek at my Patreon page for how you can get great rewards and help support these tutorials. Happy creating! Bye-bye.